Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Paul,
This is Senex.
and we are bringing you another game of StarCraft 2 from the FRB Grand Tournament Round of 16. Today's game is going to be between Complexity Gosu User and Fitzy here.
Yeah, I've been very much looking forward to this game just because it's a Zerg versus Zerg. We didn't have too many mirror matchups in the round of 16. This was, in fact, the only one. We totally didn't plan that. It was just kind of the way things with our seeding system went down. And Zerg versus Zerg is historically known as a very volatile matchup, and both of these players definitely know what they're doing and will be able to punish their opponent if there are signs of weakness. But FRB has shown kind of some signs of not really being as aggressive, as dangerous as ordinary Zerg versus Zerg.
Yeah, most definitely. And in the spirit of MKP calling his opponent by his first name, I've seen so many replays where MKP is just like, "Hello, person." Dot dot dot. I don't know. He's like such a dramatic player when he chats. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that, but yeah, it should be interesting to see how this does go. To see if CVZ is any different with the change in mineral patches and the gas, of course, or if it just kind of stays the same and keeps a typical unit composition. I have a feeling the unit composition will be kind of the same, but we'll see how the timings do play out and stuff, and see what these players do choose to do.
The timings are already different, though. We see Gosu User, and actually we should have introduced the players as I think about it. In the top right, the red player is Complexity Gosu User. It looks like it should be Gowser, pronounced like Bowser, but it's not. It's Gosu User. And in the bottom left is Fitzy here, which is he's from Convergence Gaming, as I recall. Yeah, from Convergence
Yeah.
Gaming.
I believe that you are correct there. Yeah, and as you were saying, the timings are a little bit different here. Gosu User actually getting his gas first, and it currently has, I think that's two, no, that might be three drones on the extractor there, so he will be getting enough gas for speed if that is the tech pattern that he does choose to take, whereas Fitzy here chose to get his gas a little bit later, and of course his spawning pool at about the same time.
Yeah, the gas first into pool is definitely a very standard build for Gosu User to be approaching this game with, though he does kind of need to watch out. And yes, I do like he's already pulled one guy out of gas as soon as he got the 100 gas he needed for Zergling speed. Because if you leave three guys in gas just the entire time, you'll have far more than you can use unless you're immediately going for a Baneling bust. But it's obvious both players are not doing that. Right after they get their pool up and begin working towards Zergling speed, they take their expands.
Yes, indeed, and we can see basically the only difference between the two players is the supply. There's 18 supply for Fitzy here, and Ghost User has 16, but actually Fitzy here getting a little bit of supply blocked. I'm not actually sure if that's stopping his production. I would say that it is a little bit, but finally the Overlord does pop out, and his speed is actually being researched a little bit later, but we do see for Ghost User going ahead and getting that Baneling nest, whereas Fitzy here, the only tech that he has is his spawning pool and that speed.
Yeah, we do see that Gosu User is the only one with Zerglings out on the field right now. He's not moving them across the field or anything like that. He's just kind of massing them in his natural. But because that Baneling nest is finishing up and his opponent has no other tech on the way, it's definitely going to be in Fitzy here's court to defend the economic advantage that he's gotten himself. He's 3 drones up, but on the units tab, there are 6 Zerglings already on the field for Gosu User, with 8 more on the way.
Yeah, and honestly, it's going to be really hard for him to defend against this. I think maybe if he were to get a Spine Crawler, or really even go for Roach Tech, he'd have a little bit of an easier time. But this Baneling Bust, and oh wow, as we see here, Ghost User actually getting some Zergling kills there. I feel like this Baneling Bust could actually do a ton of damage to Fitzy here.
There are many more Zerglings on the way, but that engagement in the middle was something of a disaster for Fitzy here. He lost 4 Zerglings, didn't even kill a single, or maybe killed just one of his opponent, but because Ghost User had speed first, he was able to get in and do the damage. And speaking of damage, he does have the Banelings moving in right now. The only thing that can deal with them is the Queen, so it's really going to depend on if those Banelings can get major connections. They're coming in from behind and actually do get at least one pretty decent connection, forcing a lot of the Zerglings to run away, while the Zerglings for Gosu User are able to run in and start sniping a Queen.
Yeah, these Zerglings from Gosu User are coming in here, but it does look like they are going to get cleaned up. Of course, there are currently still 3 Banelings, and they're making their way into the main of Fitzy here. Now, Fitzy here actually just completely bypasses him with a Zergling, and Gosu User's going straight for the drones. Gets a ton of drone kills right there. Let's look at the work he's killed. Currently 5 for Gosu User, and he
enormous counterattack moving in to Gosu User's main, though he does have 2 Banelings there. If he's able to hit with big Baneling hits, he might be able to recover from here, but his natural is taking a lot of fire and only has 2 Banelings, just a couple of Zerglings right now to defend. He's moving keeping the Banelings in and kind of doing a little bit of posturing, though. As soon as those Banelings are out of position, the Zerglings of Fitzy here run right by and continue trying to pick off any army or any drones that they can get access to.
Now, it does look like Gosu User is going to have enough to clean up those forces, but more reinforcements do come in here for Fitzy User, and actually Gosu User in a little bit of a vulnerable position, being forced to use his drones in this battle. Did do a little bit of nice micro there with the mineral patch, and is going to be able to get us around with his drones. And just looking at the units lost right now, Gosu User has lost quite a bit and is very far behind in supply.
Yeah, Gosu User ended up using a lot of his drones to just try to hold off that attack, and unfortunately now he does not have any Zerglings on the field, curses a little bit, which is nicely censored by at least my current version of StarCraft 2, and says it's so late, GG yo, and is forced to leave the game.
Indeed, and that is going to be the good game from Game 1.